at her own time, which introduces the party with which the president hedged her political bets even as she faced down the elders in Lakas-Kampi, created as a potential presidential vehicle for 1998, began to grow and glow after 2005. Kampi's role was to be a blocking force to keep Lakas from junking the president and to loyally defend her at every turn. Representative Villafuerte, for one, kept both oppositionists and Lakas congressmen at bay whenever the president felt threatened. In many ways, Kampi served the same political purpose for its principal as another pet party, the NPC, to whose ranks a congressman named Gibo Teodoro Jr. once belonged. Never the biggest, but always big enough, the NPC made sure to protect its party chairman's interests, including almost successfully impeaching then Chief Justice Hilario Davide Jr. President Arroyo used Kampi as effectively as Eduardo Cojuangco Jr. used the NPC. But having toppled both FVR and JDV, the president could then attend to the much-delayed objective of a merger, which finally began to gather steam late last year and which dragged on during the early part of this year. By May, a merger had been signed by both parties. By June, the president was able to give her marching orders. But the problem remained and brings us to where we started, the long and often frustrating path to finding a candidate for the presidency and vice presidency in 2010. Back in 2007, Gibo Teodoro Jr. was appointed Secretary of National Defense. He was 43, the same age as Ramon Magsaysay when he assumed the same portfolio, and like Magsaysay, the trajectory of his political career seemed obvious, from congressman to defense chief and who knows, president. Aside from being an accomplished corporate lawyer, both because of his uncle Danding Cojuangco's cultivation of close ties with the military from the Marcos years to the present, and Teodoro's own affinity for the military as a colonel in the Reserve Air Force, his suitability for the defense portfolio was a no-brainer. In a cabinet notorious for intrigue, he proved loyal and unwilling to be insubordinate to the president and kept his counsel about his feelings about his colleagues. He brought to the job a quiet, smooth efficiency in running the military establishment. Pictures reflected in this photo shows Teodoro with Congressman De Maporo, and everyone stands their ground. He also showed the political smarts to smooth out military-civilian relations. The president and various top brass put forward this sort of belief. And now it was said his primary political interest in the defense portfolio was the job of the defense chief as head of the National Disaster Coordinating Council. Typhoons Ondoy and Pepeng, and not war, gave the defense chief his actual baptism of fire. To those who saw his work up close at the time, his stock as an administrator increased. Whether he scored public relations or public opinion points, however, is another story. Now, the harsh reality is that the merits and demerits of Teodoro aside, there's the problem of his serving a president whose popularity was, to borrow FVR's phrase, waning. Now, what is wrong with this picture? Nothing except for the cast of characters, starting with the president. But when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, which is what Teodoro did with characteristic aplomb. He did all he was required to do. In March, he announced he was seeking the presidency. In July, he left the NPC and joined Lakas. He was, in a sense, back where he was during the Marcos years, when his father served as GSIS head with distinction, and he earned his political spurs as a leader in the Kapataang Barangay and then in the Provincial Board of Tarlac. His leaving his uncle's pocket party would be the first step in getting on board a ruling coalition that extends beyond the formal parameters of party and elected officials. The president has built up a constituency within other institutions, whether it's the clergy or the military, many of whose officers she's given appointed office as a stepping stone to political office. At the same time, Teodoro's been sized up by elder statesmen like FVR, who has deployed his remaining political resources and followers to strategically supporting Teodoro's candidacy. Lakas-Kampi, CMD, has the biggest contingent in the House, and its twice postponed agenda of shifting to the parliamentary system also has a new lease on life with Teodoro's candidacy. At the same time, Teodoro has purged the ruling party of rogue members like the Ampatuans, while continuing to enjoy the support of its network of provincial leaders, such as Region 1 Lakas-Kampi Chairman Chavit Singson. So when we return, we'll talk to the son of one of the founding fathers of the present coalition to get a peek into how it intends to bring its candidate, Gibo, to victory. Welcome back to The Explainer. Now joining me is Lakas-Kampi CMD Secretary General Francis Manglapus, the son of Raul S. Manglapus, who helped found Lakas. Now, Francis, I'm asking all the candidates' representatives to give me the lay of the land in terms of your party and how you intend to pursue the coming campaign.
Well, good evening, Manolo. We intend to run a campaign that is based on platforms and programs. We think that it's not only what our candidate is comfortable in doing, it is also what the country really needs. What the country really needs, we believe, is a platform and program for the future. It's important to remember the past and learn from it, but what is more important, I think, is with all the many challenges that the country faces in the future, the people, once they start focusing, are going to look at which particular candidate has the competence and the leadership ability to face all these challenges so that we can actually have our country move forward economically.
Now, when do you expect to have this platform out?
Well, it should have been done last week, but we have difficulty with some of the components with the platform, some of the personnel, the people that are behind it, particularly Governor Salceda, who has some very important inputs. As you know, there's problems with Mayon Volcano. But we're going to bring this out right after the holidays. Anyway, if we bring it out now, it's going to be difficult. People are too busy.
Now, if you look at your candidates' talks, he's always been focused, if my impression is correct, on making sure that none of the gains over the past years are dissipated by trying to reinvent the wheel, but at the same time focusing on, precisely as you pointed out, moving things forward while avoiding undue recrimination or infighting among people. Now, how does he propose to precisely accomplish this by uniting a country that is very fragmented at the present time?
Well, that is where his leadership has to come in. And I believe that his leadership has been tested time and again in the House and also in his stint as the Department of Foreign Affairs. He has a very focused view on how to unite the country. He's going to try to get all the former presidents together and really put them as advising him constantly. He works well with anybody because he is focused for the long term. And
well, this is his proposal, which personally I appreciate very much, to make the Council of State an integral part of his administration. And this is something that has been pushed for a long time. Now, this brings up, of course, the problem in the eyes of even some who were open to supporting him, of the president. Rightly or wrongly, she is perceived to be a liability in terms of not only his present campaign, but perhaps in the future if he should be elected. So lay this out for us. How does he view the president, and how should the electorate be viewing this question?
Well, first of all, I would like to point out that Secretary Teodoro won this